clients who pay the least demand the most.
Yeah. Would you encourage more young people to get involved in politics early in life?
I would.
You mentioned that the landscape's changing.
We still talk to the newspaper reporters, TV reporters. They're still important, but they are only one component of the entire story. But now it's just the start because fewer and fewer people are reading the newspapers.
When would I hire a PR firm? Like, what are the different events they're trying to achieve?
For example, if you were looking at a major expansion or you had an acquisition and we're trying to reach customers, we can help do that. How can we do better in telling our story so that people understand it, sympathize with it, agree with it? We are representing people and we're trying to get the message to people.
What kept you going and not closing your doors?
Working for a governor that was making very active decisions, some of them that were not popular among the masses. They ended up being the right decisions, but at the time, they were really tough decisions. I was dealing with 80 to 90 phone calls from reporters every single day, and I did it when I was in my 20s. Kind of going through that at that age prepared me for whatever may come.
You are a PR company, or we're a PR company. At one point, there was a merger in something. So tell me, I'll let you start the history. I know right now, so I took some notes.
Okay.
Let's see if these are right. Let's fact check these notes real quick. I got them from you, so hopefully they're right. But
They better be, otherwise I got some really quick editing to do.
Well, yeah, let's see. So you merged, and then it became, after you merged, the largest and most trusted Michigan-owned public relations agency at one point. Is that still the case?
Yeah.
Wow. So the Rossman Group, or Truscott, became Truscott Rossman.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And now you're the largest Michigan-owned public relation agency in the state.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what got you into PR? So I love stories. So I love telling our listeners, like, who are you? How did you get into this field? Did you start the Rossman Group? Was that like your company you founded, or how did that go?
My company was the John Truscott Group.
Gotcha. That makes
before,
sense.
And Kelly Rossman was a fierce competitor and a dear friend at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
But I'll kind of back up a little bit. When I was in college, I started pre-med. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Started taking all the science courses and things. It didn't feel right to me. It's like, I can do it. It's not fun. It's not my passion. So I changed to no preference. And at the time, I was in a special program through the Department of Education that dealt with student leadership. I'd been involved in some of their activities in high school. That exposed me to the legislative process. We were meeting with legislators. We were talking about state policy on behalf of students. So I did that, and then I started to get a little deeper into the legislative public policy side of things. Did a couple other internships that weren't in the field. And then I was at my senior year of college, and I had no way to pay for school. I was paying my way through the whole time. And so I started knocking on doors. I'm born and raised in Lansing. The capital is a natural place to do that.
Yep.
And I just started meeting people, and they'd refer me to other people. And eventually I got a job in the state Senate.
Wow.
And was writing newsletters and press releases and things. And I had decent writing skills, but I honed them in that job. And I was taking a bunch of communications classes at the time. Graduated, then I went to the House Republican Press Office. And I hosted and produced our video, TV programs with legislators, and was assigned to do all the writing for 4 state representatives. Then I graduated with a degree in communication and political science.
This is all still in college?
Still in college.
Okay.
So after a year and a half, I was probably a year out of school. It's like we're in the minority in the House. There's our computers. Back then, computers were old. They were really old, all our equipment. It's like, I'm ready to move on and do something else. And that's when I just started again, knocking on doors, networking, meeting people, and found some people who were starting a gubernatorial campaign. And it was the John Engler for Governor campaign.
Yeah.
And I interviewed at like 21 years old, and I think nobody else wanted the job, so they hired me. And I thought it'll be a great experience. I'll meet some great people, something for my resume, and then we won.
Wow.
And so I became the governor's press secretary at that point.
Wow.
And I stayed.
How old were you at this point?
21, 22.
Wow.
At that time. I know on the campaign trail, I celebrated my 21st birthday.
That's wild. And can you define gubernatorial for those that don't know what that is? Because that is a big word.
Campaign for governor.
That's what it is.
Governor of Michigan. Yep. Well, gubernatorial is the technical official term for governor.
Wow.
And then after that, after 11 years, I started my own firm, the John Truscott Group, focused on public affairs issues, so mainly Lansing-based capital public policy type issues. Did that for 10 years. And as I mentioned, Kelly was a dear friend. We would get lunch, every other month and gossip and talk about things. And there was one day she said, "Why don't you come work for me?" And I said, Kelly, I can't work for you. I've had my own gig for 10 years.
When you taste it, it's tough to give it up.
I cannot work for anybody else. And then like the next quarter, we were meeting for dinner and she said, "Well, have you thought about it? Why don't you work for me? Or why don't we consider merging?" Something like that. So then it was like, it was a holiday weekend. I don't know if it was 4th of July. I got out the yellow legal pad and wrote all the pros and cons and went through the whole thing. I said, the only con is just a loss of a little bit of financial control, but the impact that we could have statewide. Her firm, she had more people than I did. She had been doing it longer than I had. She broke the glass ceiling for women in Michigan in the field. Everybody knew her, loved her. In public relations. And I said, there's something here. And so at the time, then we got together our lawyers and accountants and everybody started crunching numbers and made it happen.
So what was the pro for her, given that she was a bigger firm?
I think the pro for both of us was the impact statewide. I had a really good base of clients in Grand Rapids. She had a really good base in Detroit. And our ability to kind of marry that. She's a Democrat, I'm a Republican, so we're bipartisan, doing a lot of public affairs work. And a lot of people in that process want to know what both sides are thinking or how to reach both sides on an issue. And it just kind of worked out. And we had a lot of fun together for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that normal for a PR company to represent both, like a political PR company? Is that normal for them to represent both sides, or do they normally?
Really.
Yeah.
We were.
So that's a unique thing, right?
Yeah. I think we were the first bipartisan firm of our kind out there. And then,
not just in Michigan, just probably at least in Michigan.
There were probably some in D.C. where people had partnered up from different presidential administrations, but clearly the first in Michigan. Wow. And then we branched way out beyond the public affairs issues from there.
What do you mean by branching out? Just because a lot of our listeners are probably like, I don't think most of them even know really what PR is.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe we'll stop there real quick.
Sure.
So PR, to my knowledge, you can let me know if I'm wrong or, how smart I am. But basically it's just, when I think of public relations, I think of how does the public view somebody, and you can like try to curate stories, or if someone needs help, like, hey, this story broke, we need to do damage control or something like that. It's something in that capacity.
In a very, very broad sense, you're spot on.
Okay.
And the field has changed a lot in recent years, which I'll touch on in a second. But it's helping a client tell their story to the public. How can we get across our client's viewpoint, their perspective on an issue, how the public perceives them? So in the old days, it was solely pretty much focused on communicating to the public through traditional earned media, newspapers, TV. That was our resource that we would work together to get the word out.
Things have changed a little since then.
Changed a lot. So I served as spokesperson for a lot of companies that were our clients. So when you see somebody quoted on behalf of X, that was me. And what I'm trying to do is portray the company's position to the public. Now we can do it pretty much through our own channels. Podcasts, a lot of digital assets, the social media channels and things. So we can craft our own stories, put them out directly to the audience. And we still do a lot of work with traditional media, but we kind of take an all of the above approach. And our mantra now is all media is earned media, because you have to earn it even through social media. You have to have the algorithm that's going to make sure it delivers it to your intended audience. So it's really communicating the story of the client to the public in very simple terms. And
I want to go back to the merger, because that's not very popular in today's world. Because in today's world, the political climate is so divisive that you're like, we have a Republican and Democrat working together. How is that even possible, right? Was it just different back then, where
it was
a lot more amicable and just you could have those conversations? Did it cause unseen division in the company, or was it just something that you guys knew? Hey, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. We're going to service our clients, and that's as simple as that.
Part of it is Kelly's unique personality and my unique personality, and we were friends more than anything else. She passed away 2 years ago from cancer. Very, very. I think about her every day. But her personality, and she was friends with everybody, and everybody loved her. She was irreverent, brash. She dropped the F-bomb all the time, and everybody loved her for it.
Yeah, that's who she was.
But she would go in and tell people exactly what she thought. She didn't hold anything back.
Yeah.
And we would tease each other about our partisan positions and things like that. And, you know, she wanted to spend money left and right on everything. Typical Democrats spending other people's money. And she'd go, you tightwadded. We had that going back and forth. And we had staff across the political spectrum, probably more Democrat than Republican, and they understood. Yeah. And sometimes they'd say, "Oh, mom and dad are fighting again," and things like that. But she was just a pleasure to be around, and didn't take it too seriously.
That's just how it should be.
It really should.
We need a lot more of that.
Yeah, we do
today. So you guys merged. It and that created the biggest PR firm in Michigan. And then you mentioned that the landscape's changing, and you said you wanted. So how so?
I think in the tools that we use and the way we put out information. So as I mentioned, we still talk to the newspaper reporters, TV reporters. They're still important, but they are only one component of the entire story. So, for example, we have a lot of clients ask us, can you place this op-ed, an opinion editorial that kind of lays out what their position is on an issue, kind of sets the tone for the discussion. Well, used to be that's all you had to do when people read it and saw it. Policymakers would see it. So that was the holy grail at the time. But now it's just the start. You start with that op-ed. Now, are you going to put it on LinkedIn and create a discussion? Are you going to put it on X and create a discussion? How do you then target your audience to make sure they're seeing it? Because fewer and fewer people are reading the newspapers. And now that we have digital, most people get it through, I read it on my iPad or my phone or whatever. Do people actually go to the editorial page and see it? So we try to distribute that, use the credibility of it appearing in the newspaper, but distribute it digitally and then create the conversation around that. So it's much more complicated, but from our perspective, the business perspective, we have so many more tools available to us today to get to an audience than we used to.
When you were talking, I was just kind of thinking through, because at the beginning when you defined PR, you said you want to get people's story out there, right? Who they are. To me, that comes with a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, especially when it comes to political campaigns, like your PR it might make it break it for them. Like if you do a wrong story, you misword something or you phrase something that comes, like your intention might be X, but if someone reads something and it comes across as different, like how have you been able to deal with that pressure of PR?
And I'll take it even further. It's easier for us to get the message out because we have so many more tools and channels, but at the same time, people have more tools and channels to respond, and it can be brutal, as anybody has seen.
Yeah.
So you have to stay on top of it. You have to be responding. There are certain rules. People say, well, can we take that comment down? It's like, no, you don't want to. You don't want to generate more. You want to respond with the facts and try to influence what people are responding, understanding, going forward. Because if you take that down now, it's a conspiracy against your opposition. And you don't want to go there because then you get the negative attention that you didn't want. And we want, we can tell our story in our own way and we can help people see it, interpret it, understand it, hopefully support it, maybe not. But it's just that world has changed. We always had to do things through the filter of a reporter. And now that filter is gone. So there are certain rules. You have to be honest and ethical and things like that because people can sniff out somebody who's not honest faster than ever before.
Yeah.
And reporters used to be a little bit of that filter. They would be the ones to ask the tough questions. And now they just don't have the same power that they did.
Huh. When do you struggle with egos with your clients? Like you give them coaching, you give them teaching, and they just ignore it, or for the most part, if people are willing to work with you?
But most of the time, people are paying us, so they're willing to listen to the advice. We can debate it back and forth and tell them why. In the end, it's their call.
Sure.
But we try to convince them why this is the best route to go. The biggest issue is when you get the lawyers involved. I say the lawyers kill some of the best PR plans that are out there, and it's understandable. They have a different goal than we do. But we always say, we want to be your partner. We want to have that conversation with you so that we can bring you along to understand what we're trying to get across.
Man, I just have so many questions because like you're the first guest we've ever had in someone in this field. And that's why I was
really?
Well, yeah, because I mean, we have a lot of entrepreneurs and I have questions I want to ask you later of what it's like to be a CEO. What do you think? I have those questions queued up later, but I want to understand PR because it's just such a unique world that I don't think a lot of people know what it really is. And so this is just fascinating for me. And then would you say still a lot of your guests or your clients, excuse me, I'm used to talking podcast language, guests, your clients are mainly political on either aisle? So who's your average client right now?
Yeah, so when I started in the business, almost everybody was public affairs, political, government relations, that sort of thing. When I merged with Kelly, it was probably 60 to 70% of our clients. But then as we grew to Detroit and Lansing, and Grand Rapids, less and less politics. Now, they may have something with state government, a permit request, something like that. So we would get involved in those. But most of it was communicating in their communities what was going on. Or it's a company that has a reputation issue. So we're communicating to a much broader audience. I would say the government affairs, public affairs side is probably 20 to 25% of what we do now. And the rest is straight commercial, general communications. It's we work with everybody from large corporations all the way down to nonprofits, local governments, school districts.
They just need to get a message out there, really. Like they need to get. Is there anything like when would I hire a PR firm? Like what are the different events they're trying to achieve when they'd hire you?
I would say, for example, if you were looking at a major expansion or you had an acquisition and we're trying to reach customers, we can help do that. Now, it's probably not a general traditional earned media story. It's a digital story, and we can target those customers and make sure that they're seeing the announcement, the growth, you're open for business, whatever it is. We're dealing with one, for example, an auto supplier right now that's spinning off one of their divisions.
Okay.
Completely new brand, new name. Their customers haven't heard of it. But we're transitioning. Our goal is to transition their Facebook followers, their digital followers to this new brand and not lose any of them. And we've got a digital team that's really, really good at doing that, knowing how to target the folks over here on Facebook and attract them over because it has to be their decision to follow.
Right.
So we want to put as much information in front of them as possible to get them to follow over.
What do you enjoy so much about this career? Because you're getting excited talking about it. I can see you.
I do.
Do you still enjoy this at this stage?
I do. I love the strategy of it and bouncing ideas off people for the best way to reach the audience. I love the new tools that we have available to us where previously it's, okay, we'll write a press release. We want to hone that in and get it absolutely perfect. We'll write an op-ed. We'll work with the reporters here and there. And then we have to rely on them for writing it in a fair way, placing it in a way that people will see it. And now, we still do all of that. But now, how do we get it in front of the audience in a way that they'll understand it, that they'll kind of buy in and start following what we're doing? And I love the strategy of when you're up against a tough issue or an opponent, how can we do better in telling our story so that people understand it, sympathize with it, agree with it, whatever it may be. That strategy is a lot of fun. And I think it really just comes down to people. We are representing people and we're trying to get the message to people. And that's...
You're a connector. You're just connecting people.
It's just a lot of fun, especially when you get a win on an issue. And we really focus on that winning for our clients. And when you get a win, you kind of walk around. It was a good day.
Yeah, we did this. Yeah. You mentioned reporters. So and you said you hope they give you a fair shake. Did you ever have situations where you would send something to reporters and it was like, how did you deal with reporters being the middleman back before this? Was that a problem where you'd have to befriend? Because I don't know anything about it, so I'm just like asking, like, do you have to like befriend reporters, try to like get them on your side, or like were most of them fair? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. Here's where you go back to the relationships again and people. So I knew everybody in the press corps. They had known me for years. There was a credibility that had been built up. They would always take my call. But, then they have an editor above them determining, okay, what makes the news tonight. I feel overall I was always treated extremely fairly. I was very fortunate in that way because, look, we rely on them. They rely on us for information. And so it's a two-way street. And I've been, even to this day, treated extremely fairly by the media.
That's cool. So how long has your company, you started your company how many years ago, even before the merge?
That was 2001 when I left the governor's office.
Wow.
And then Kelly and I merged in 2011.
So you've been an entrepreneur for pretty much, almost your whole life.
Pretty much, yeah.
North of, 23 years, 22 years?
24 years.
24 years, yeah. Oh, it is 2025, isn't it? Oh, my goodness.
Knocking on the door of 26 almost.
Yeah. What would you say is a lesson that you've learned after 20 years of owning a business that you wish you would have known when you started?
Ooh, that's a really good question. And I haven't thought about it in those terms. I think, you always go through business cycles up and down. Sometimes it's attached to a recession. Sometimes there's just other factors involved. I think, and I've seen the results of this, when things start to backslide on you and you're losing clients or losing business, get out there right away and be visible. That's the most important thing. People are not always thinking about you until they see you. And then I may have a project. Or I just talked to a client the other day that may need a little communications help. And I have found time and again that generates business. Just being out where people are, doing the lunches, dinners, and just letting people know that you're available. I've gone through a number of cycles. 25 years gives you an opportunity to
learn a lot,
experience them all. Where, when I was on my own and I was carrying 10, 11 clients and you lose 3 of them, that's almost a third of your revenue. And it's like, oh no, am I going to make it? And then you get out and it's like within a month or two, that business starts coming in again. So I did a video, a vlog early on in COVID, the first couple of weeks, as everybody's panicking. Are we going to lose our business? Is the world going to end? All of these things. And I said, the most important thing you can do right now is be visible. Whether it's an email to your client, a phone call to your client, whatever it is, let people know you're still there for them and you're thinking of them. And then we had some strategies to stay in front in terms of the work that we were doing. But I said, now's the time when everybody else is hunkered down and hiding, not knowing what to do. If you're the one out there and visible and giving advice to your clients, they're going to react to that because you're that one bright light in a very gloomy
you're
environment.
putting yourself in a position to succeed. Like you're giving yourself the best chance possible.
Yep. And if you can carry it through a time like COVID, when you come out of it, you're positioned so much better.
How do you deal with stress of people relying on you? Because, and I'll give you just feel like I have I have an admin. So for 5 years, I paid payroll. And then I just hired an integrator for my podcast company. And it's like, there's another family. And so I have barely a taste of what it's like to actually have 30, 40, 50, 60. But it's still like, for me, it's like the pressure's very real. Like if I don't bring in clients, this family over in Texas doesn't eat.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm dealing with that right now. I'm working through like those emotions and trying to figure out like, all right, we got to land this. Like, how do we do this? Like, how have you been able to now? You have a massive team. Yeah. So, and I think it's something people don't think about a lot. But as an owner, how do you deal with the stress that so many people rely on you to get paid?
One, kind of put yourself in their position, know their fears, their excitement, their anticipation of what they're going through. But it is stressful, especially if you have a slow quarter or two. It's like, okay, what decisions are we going to make? And I've been through the ups and downs. We've had to let people go. It's brutal. I hate going through that. I am very fortunate to have a good executive team, and they pretty much handle all the tough stuff like that. I used to, but now they handle a lot of the difficult things, the management, the people stuff, the daily type of things, managing workloads right down to the number of hours per day, and some of the tough decisions that have to be made. They'll come to me with a recommendation, but they've thought through everything, and that really helps. And it's always, we've got some principles that we follow, and we try to really take care of people really well. We provide some of the best insurance packages out there. We, the time off, the flexibility and everything. It's a pretty good place to work. But yeah, sometimes we just can't support, a certain staff member, 3 of their clients are gone. It's like, if we don't have any more work,
it's just
you
numbers.
can only carry them for so long. So it's really difficult. And I would say I'm very fortunate to have a good team that manages the day-to-day stuff.
Which is a blessing, but you got here though. And how many other people would have quit 5 years in, 6 years in? Like, what kept you going the early stages when it was just you? Because like, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm like building multiple companies. Like, I have our insurance thing we're doing, then we have this, then we that, and I'm just like, okay, how do I manage this, the stress of it? And so that's what I'm personally walking through, because I see friends that have started companies, they're closing them. They're closing their doors. They can't handle the stress, or they couldn't handle this. Like, what do you think it was that made you successful in those early years, even though you mentioned the cycles? Like, you did have downtime. What kept you going and not closing your doors? I
think working for a governor that was making very active decisions, some of them that were not popular among the masses, they ended up being the right decisions, but at the time they were really tough decisions. I think that just desensitized me to some of the incoming pressure and stress, because it was like, you couldn't go hide when you're the spokesperson for the governor. You had to be out there every single day. And at the time I was dealing with many times 80 to 90 phone calls from reporters every single day on various issues. So I had to change up almost with every call and be knowledgeable on so many issues. And I did it when I was in my 20s. Yeah. And so that kind of going through that at that age prepared me for whatever may come. And so I still feel the stress and the pressure, and sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. I went through probably getting 20 to 30 years of experience in 2 to 3 years, just because of that pressure, that daily pressure. And being, I had, it's my name out there every day being quoted. And if something goes wrong, or, it only takes one bad move to destroy a reputation, and I'm gone. And it's just, I had a boss who supported me. That was phenomenal. He had my back on everything, and I spent a lot of time with him. So I knew how he thought and talked and everything. So it made it easier. So I carried that into the business side. And I think that still carries me through today.
Wow. So it's just the early exposure to risk and stress.
Extreme amounts of stress.
Early in your life. Yeah. And you made it through. Would you encourage more young people to get involved in politics early in life?
I would. At least from the standpoint, go out and work a campaign, work a local county commission campaign, knock on the door for that candidate, go in the neighborhoods. It's not easy to knock on a stranger's door and say, I'm for so-and-so, and you don't know what party they are behind that door.
Correct.
You can kind of list, kind of help you figure it out, but you don't know what that response is going to be. You don't know if a dog's coming through the door at you, all of these things. It's a phenomenal experience. It's when you campaign for somebody that you like and believe in, it's a lot of fun. But you just get experience that you don't get anywhere else. And you learn to deal with people, learn to deal with adversity. It's just a great training ground for any kind of career you'd want to go into.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I joke people all the time, like, because I've talked politics on this podcast, and when you are willing to talk politics online, and people are going to watch it, people on the other side, it does desensitize you to, like, if you're willing to talk about politics online, you can talk about anything. Like, really, like, any subject, any guest wants to come on, it will not stress me out, because we talked about politics.
Sure.
Like, and so that is something that, like, it can develop thick skin, and it can do that. Like, for me, like, I waited tables at Steak and Shake, and even just the stress of, like, managing 8 tables at once and had to make, like, it just grew me. How much more would doing what you did? I mean, I don't know how you didn't break, like how you didn't snap through that.
I kind of joked that I was young enough. I didn't know any better.
Yeah, young and
so
dumb.
That kind of helped. It was just like, oh, this is a job. I'll just go do it. Oh, they're throwing a camera and a microphone in my face. Well, I know the issue. I can just talk about it.
I mean, how much stress would the press secretary of the White House have to have?
Unbelievable. I can't imagine.
Like, so your stress at the governor level was insane.
Yeah.
And then you look at the
You
presidential
have the whole
level,
country and the whole world watching every single word.
I mean, I don't know how they do it.
I have a great admiration for anybody who has done it. A lot of them do it. So I've seen a couple of them speak afterwards. And one of the funniest times I had, there's Michigan State has a Michigan political leadership program, and they train people who want to run for office and kind of give them the basic skill sets and tools. It's very bipartisan. And I've always had a dinner every year. Well, many years ago, before Kelly and I merged our firm, she was moderating one of them. It was in Livonia. And Marlon Fitzwater, who was Ronald Reagan's press secretary, and Mike McCurry, who was Bill Clinton's press secretary, they were speaking.
Oh, that's cool.
They were friends. They both had great senses of humor. And Kelly was talking about Marlon Fitzwater's book. And it's like, I read this every night when I go to bed. It's on my nightstand, and she's doing this in the introduction. And we all know the Clinton story, the Monica Lewinsky story.
Yeah.
Marlon Fitzwater, his first thing he says is, I did not sleep with that woman. The place lost it.
Right.
And that was how it started. And so you have these guys who have been there through, I mean, Mike McCurry, dealing with the Clinton stuff.
Yeah, that's wild.
That was as tough as it gets.
Yeah.
And he had a great sense of humor. And he and Fitzwater, and it was just, they knew how to make politics and what they did fun after they left. But they admitted when they're in the middle of it, there is, the stress level, the impact on your health, everything else, there's no pressure in the world like being at that podium.
I don't want to make it unfair, but I almost wonder if a press secretary deals with more stress in a way than the president. That just, I know, like, just because I'm like, it's not their decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a president has tons of stress, but I'm almost wondering, like, if it was me, is it more stressful to make the decisions or more stressful to be forced to, like?
I think it's more stressful to make them.
You think so?
As press secretary, and one thing that I had the luxury of is I had access to the governor at any point that I needed it. I could walk into his office. I could call him if he's on the road, whatever, if I needed an answer to a question. And I think the presidential press secretaries, for the most part, have had that kind of access.
Yeah.
And so you may not believe everything that they're doing, but your job is to represent what they are doing and that viewpoint.
In the best way you can. Right?
Yeah. And so they're transmitting, they're communicating what their boss is doing, what went into a decision. Yeah. But having the access, that's a lot of information that has to flow. And if you watch any of the press secretaries at the podium, the direction, these questions are coming left and right. And a lot of them are very different. They don't follow a linear path to drill down on something.
It'll go from here, then bounce over to here.
Yeah, I was just
listening
to one of them just before I came in. It's like, oh my gosh. And they're joking with the reporters. They're cutting them off. There's an interplay there that's kind of fun to watch if you really pay attention to it. But yeah, it's extremely stressful, but not as much as being president.
Yeah, it was a thought. I was like, maybe. And then when I said it out loud, I was like, no. Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah. That was a bad thought, Dylan. No, that's cool. One of the things that people enjoy or don't enjoy about my show, but people enjoy, is that it is very much like a fluid, like,
sure,
we just kind of follow. And so I guess, I don't know how we got there. We got there because you dealt with it. And I asked you the question originally about stress. Yeah. And you basically said, hey, listen, basically the takeaway is, if you're young, put yourself in some sort of position that's going to grow you, whether that's in politics, whether that's in fast food, whether that's in some sort of job that's going to get you out of your comfort zone early. And that's what prepared you to own a company.
You don't have to be in politics. You don't have to be in government. Volunteer for the tough assignment. It could be raising money for a charity in your office. It could be organizing a weekend event of staff to do something. But get out of your comfort zone and stretch a little bit, because that'll be important as you work your way up through the company, the business, whatever it is, or striking out on your own. One thing you find when you start a small business, you are chief bottle washer, catcher, chef. You do everything.
The invoicing, the accounting, all of it.
Yep. And then as you grow, you can shed some of those responsibilities and put them on somebody else. But I think that experience is so valuable because you learn how things operate. You learn the decisions that go into it. It's very, very helpful. And I think it's a good grounding to have.
How many employees do you guys have right now?
We hover right around between 28 and 30.
That's incredible.
I think we're at 28 right now.
And it seems like from what, I've emailed we were talking about one of your employees earlier and you guys have the podcast, like what to you makes a good company culture? Like what's the most, because you can talk about benefits, you can talk about time off, but like, I think it goes deeper than that because like you said, people can sniff bullcrap a mile away, right? So like a lot of times companies that have the most toxic work environment have sometimes the best perks. So like, what have you found as far as like interpersonal or, deeper than just we offer good benefits that's just allowed you to create a culture that people enjoy working for?
I think part of it, we have some very core principles that, of course, we learned through the EOS process, which we could talk about as well.
Yeah.
And one of those is do the right thing. One of those is ignite individual genius. So kind of at both of them, I think people know we're going to try to make the right decision, to do it right, do it ethically and honestly. But we also want to do things for our team that allows them to excel. And I think just some of our core principles, living by them, giving people opportunity, putting a good team together so they can, in any team, it's difficult. Sometimes people can carry their weight. Sometimes they can't. I think for the most part, we've got a really good team where everybody contributes and they can rely on each other, trust each other. And we've got some unbelievable clients. Now, we've got some that not all measure up.
Yeah, right.
That's business.
Yeah, that's
but
how it
we've
works.
got some great clients, fun projects. We're making a difference for people. And that I think gets people up to go to work every day.
And it makes it fun because if people love what they do, that helps a lot.
I'll tell you one example. Our Grand Rapids office, we had an office there for a long, long time. Through COVID, people aren't coming in. So we downsized that office. We cut about half the square footage out.
Okay.
And then we hired a number of people, and we were agnostic into where they lived. It didn't matter. Turns out most of the people we ended up hiring just happened to be in Grand Rapids.
Oh, sick. Okay.
It just kind of happened. Well, now we didn't have an office big enough for them to come into. And it turns out they all wanted to see each other every day and work together, wanted to be in person. So we were working out of the Grand Rapids Chamber offices. We would get a conference room or work in their outer areas. It's set up beautifully for that. But everybody wanted to be together. So it's like, oh, shoot, we've got to get a new office. So we were in a bigger space in the same building that we were in. But now everybody comes in. It's flexible. Not everybody's there by 8:30 or 9. Sometimes they have stuff with kids in the morning or their pets or whatever. Or
as long as their work gets done by deadlines.
They're taking a call from home. But then they wander in around 10 o'clock. They go to lunch together. They just enjoy being together, talk about projects. And then late afternoon, people start wandering out and going home, finishing up. But it happened organically. We didn't force it. And I think they appreciate it. I'm more old school. I'd say be in the office all day, every day. Yeah. And that's just not the way things are working these days. But they're kind of doing it on their own. And it's kind of nice to see.
And it's working.
Yeah, it's definitely working.
I had a internship with a marketing company, and he said, it was my first kind of like job in corporate America. I worked at fast food, and I went to college, and I was a counselor at a camp, and then I had this internship. And it was like the first taste of like, what it's like to work with everyone that goes to lunch and then clock in at this time. And when he was doing the owner met with me. It's about probably a 25-man marketing company. He said, Dylan, this is how I run my company. He said, I don't care if I say I need you in California by Friday and it's Monday. I don't care if you walk, if you swim, if you fly, if you take a boat, if you vacation along the way and you stop at 7 hotels and road trip. He's like, as long as you're there by Friday, that's all I care about. And he's like, that's how I want you to work here. So if we give you deadlines, it might take you 12 hours in one day, of overtime for us to get those deadlines. Or if you work efficiently and you can get it done in 2 hours and you're still meeting your deadlines, like that's your freedom. You just get there to California by Friday. Yeah. And it was so impactful to me. So that's how I've ran my interest agency. That's how I ran everything. It's like, hey guys, this is what we have to get done. As long as it's done, there's freedom.
Yeah, and our teams tend to be very accountable to each other.
Yeah.
They're very integrated where most projects, we have several people on a project. So everybody has to pull together as a team. And from what I can tell, they all like each other. They like
good.
working
That's
together.
good.
Sometimes we have people from the Detroit office working with the Grand Rapids office or pulling a Lansing person, whatever it may be, but it works. And our team's been doing some pretty darn good work. I'm really proud of it.
Man. That's awesome. What do you think the next step? So you started a company, right? Say No More Studio.
Say More.
Say More. Why did I say No More?
Say
Say More. You went Say More, not Say No More. Say More Studio. Editor just cut that. No, I was kidding. And so tell me about that idea. Where'd that come from?
It's a brand. The team brought it to me. They had a number of different ideas. And, part of it, you have to, how do you monetize it? It has to work if we're going to invest money in it. They said, well, Truscott Rossman is known as a political firm. So we've got all these new skills as far as digital and design, creative marketing, all of these things, but people still think of you as it's your firm. You're identified as being political. And I still have people ask me, what campaigns are you working on? And I haven't done a campaign in 15 years.
Wow.
I've been out of it.
It shows you how impactful you were. It shows you how impactful you were.
Yeah. I've actually been working around town in Lansing, just letting people in that space know how much we've changed. So try to catch the perception up with the reality.
Political campaigns?
I volunteer for some friends, but yeah, as part of the business, we don't do anything partisan.
Okay.
We'll do ballot issues and things like that, but not partisan political campaigns.
Gotcha. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Yeah.
So Say More Studio.
So Say More kind of gets around that. It's a completely different brand, and it's focused on creative, design, digital, those sorts of things, which Truscott Rossman had never really done. We always farmed that out anyway. So we're trying it out. When they go in, it doesn't have the baggage of Truscott Rossman. It also doesn't have the benefit because from being in business a long time, I know a lot of people around the state. We're still able to open the doors, but Say More just has a different focus, and we're trying out, seeing if it works. Seems to be working so far, and the team is doing some really good creative work.
What do you look for when, obviously it needs to bring revenue and someone gives you an idea. So you've been in business so long. Let's say somebody presents for you, like I have a business idea. John, would you just listen to me? And what are some things that you're looking for when maybe a young entrepreneur like right now is listening to this and they're just like, I have this idea, I have this company I want to start. What are some things that you would want to give them advice for when they're creating that company?
Do your market research and develop a business plan that you can follow. It doesn't have to have every detail in it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to have a roadmap that you're going to follow. Who is your target audience? How much can you sell your service or product for? How much do you have to make before you break even? So what are you going to invest? What do you expect to make? How long are you going to give it before you either invest more or shut it down? Just some of those basic things will help. You got to have something to measure it against. You can't just go in blindly on this. And it's a difficult exercise, but it'll also make you better in terms of refining your sales pitch or your marketing pitch or your product or service.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something I've been learning because, for 7 years, I just sold insurance. And with insurance, it's the price is the price. So Aflac will say our price for this is this. And it's like, okay, it's some price. And then 9 months ago when we started our video editing company, it's like, okay, we can kind of do whatever we want here. And then doing that market research, learning what other people are charging, how can we be competitive? How can we still make a profit? How do we have a high quality product while also being able to make a profit? And I was showing my wife last night, I'll share. This just shows you kind of how this game works. So there's a client that is interested in me editing their podcast, posting for their podcast, and give them coaching. Okay. So it's like perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. And so let's just throw out the number like $2,000 a month. Okay, like $2,000 a month, we'll get your stuff edited. We'll post for you X amount, like 2 podcasts per month, 10 clips a month. We'll get them professionally edited, no AI, like real people, and then you get a 60-minute coaching call with me, and you get some other stuff, right? And my wife's like, $2,000 a month, like that's awesome. And I showed her, so I pulled out the Excel spreadsheet. I said, my profit's $350.
Yeah.
Just because I just hired an integrator. So now, like any profit that would have been mine is going to him to help pay his salary. And so it was so eye-opening to her. And then when I was breaking the pricing, I'm like, I should probably make this $3,000. And then learning through but do I price it 3? I don't want to lose the business. So that's what I'm personally going through right now is like how to price everything. And
we've even looked at what are our competitors charging for this, or because we're new in this space in terms of the whole video production and everything. What are people charging? What are they offering for that? How many hours? Like you said, 2 podcasts. We do something similar in terms of these digital
assets.
You can put on your LinkedIn account or whatever. And then when you get to the point where you're offering your quality or your viewership or whatever it is a little better than the next one, then you can bump up your price. But you have to build a foundation to do it first.
Correct. And even if there is, and I know we're just like business brainstorming right now, but even if there is market research to say you can charge higher, a lot of times those are the organizations that have been around for 20 years. So they've earned the right to charge more. But I do think there's also the unique thing that if you charge too less, people don't take you seriously.
So I have it. This has borne out every single time without fail. Clients who pay the least demand the most.
Yeah.
They are the most costly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, we can save a few dollars, but then they come back and ask you for more and more and more. We've learned to navigate that a little bit. It's like, well, that's beyond the scope of the contract. We'll either have to charge you hourly or we'll make it up. But we didn't used to do that. We've gotten a lot smarter over the years. But without fail, somebody's paying your lowest retainer wants the highest amount of work out of you.
And it's tough, especially when you're just starting out. Like, even if it's like a lawn care guy, like, if a kid's listening to this, and I know some kids at my church sometimes will tune in, and I know one that has a lawn care company. And if you're just starting out and every client matters, it's so easy to be like, well, I should charge 40 a lawn, but they want to pay me 30 and now I get paid something. It's like, it's not always worth it. Sometimes
I
you
go
need to say
back
no.
to when I started my business. When you're starting out, you take everything.
Yes.
As long as the check will cash, you'll take it. And I still kind of almost put myself in that mentality that, well, I want every client. I don't care what they're going to pay. I just want, I want to win that project. And we're a lot more sophisticated now and a lot more selective on what we take, and it's a good thing. But still,
hard.
Still in the back of my mind, it's like, no, we should take them.
Yeah, it's money. We should definitely help them out. And then in reality, they're going to take up 80% of your time and it not be worth it.
Well, and that's where my leadership team says, do you know what that does to our staff if they're just grinding it out on a client that doesn't really appreciate or put a value on what we're doing for them? And that's tough on staff. So that's part of the decision as well.
Good lessons.
Yeah.
Good. Those are great lessons, John. So Say More Series going on. Anything when it comes to Truscott? So you said you're not doing political anymore. Right. You're doing a lot more other types of PR. What's the vision for you moving forward? Like, is it just to keep? Are you wanting to get multi-state? Are you wanting to grow it to where it's national? Like, what's your goal?
Good question. We do a lot of projects that for Washington D.C. based. For example, public affairs project. They subcontract things out to us.
Okay.
We are talking to one client right now that we've really helped in the Metro Detroit area, and they're expanding into other states. And we said, how about if you let us manage the process for you? So you're not now dealing with multiple firms in multiple states. We'll be that funnel for you. I know the firms really well. They're phenomenal. And I would bring them in and then subcontract it out. So yeah, I do see a little bit of expansion into that. That could be a model that we could follow into other Midwestern states. And I think we're on a good growth path with offering new services. We have new talent, and I want to keep growing that.
Yeah.
West Michigan is a phenomenally great place to live and work, and there's a lot of growth potential still there. We are building out our Detroit team, our Southeast Michigan team. We've got a few really good people that are just lighting it up right now, and they're starting to get attention and attract new clients in. So there's a lot of good things going on right now. We just have to manage it and make sure we don't get too overextended, but don't spend too much money hiring up before the business is in. And just what's that cycle on the clients?
Scaling is tough. Knowing when do you pour money, when do you hire extra people?
Especially in a personal services business. It's extremely difficult.
What makes it tough for in a personal services business?
If you're selling a product and you know what the production, what the sales cycle is, and you're on a certain trajectory, you can kind of ramp up.
Easier to predict, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personal services, you've got all of these people, and you ramp up to take this number of clients, and the next month 3 clients leave. Now what do you do? Well, you've hired some really good people. You don't want to let them go, but you can't carry that cost indefinitely without backfilling. So it's a tricky balancing act.
How often? What's the lead time that your client will let you know that you're probably going to be done? Like, how much time do you normally have? Does it depend?
Sometimes it's a couple of months. Sometimes it's we have in most of our contracts a 1 month out clause.
Okay.
So you know there's just basically one more cycle that we can bill, but it's across the board. There's no. Sometimes they run into financial problems. Sometimes we solve the problem for them. You just never know.
Yeah. So that's always a bittersweet. You know, they graduate, right? You accomplish.
We
everything.
Worked our way out of a client.
Yeah. Right. You did so good. You lost revenue. That's got to be a fun dichotomy to go through.
You know, but then they may have another project and come back in the future.
Or they know somebody or whatever it works out.
I mean, we're in the business of solving problems or providing solutions. And, you know, we have to recognize sometimes a project just runs its course.
That's awesome, man. Well, I give my guests always an opportunity to do this before we wrap up. We've been talking for an hour already.
Really?
Yeah. 53 minutes.
Fast.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I did a 2-hour podcast once, and the guest was like, dude, that was like 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, we've been here since like 3 or whatever, like 5 o'clock. But I always give guests an opportunity to promo something. So like, where can people find you? If it's a creative digital marketing type thing, like they can look at Say More. If it's more PR, but like let people know where they can find you and any specific client that you think would be like a really good fit.
Yeah, TruscottRossman.com, TruscottRossman.com, and you can get the Say More link in there as well. You can see some of the work we're doing there. Follow us on LinkedIn. We're across all the channels.
Yeah,
putting out fun stuff.
And killer podcast on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed watching it.
They have fun doing that. I've appeared on 1 or 2. They tend to go and do these without me for some reason.
Unbelievable.
They're going to see this and say, "Why are we doing this for you?"
That's good.
But no, we don't have anything really to promote except we're just doing good work for our clients.
Yeah.
And so if you have an issue, a problem, or you know somebody who would like to communicate to a broader audience, to the public, let us know. We'd love to help.
Awesome, man. Well, John, I appreciate it. So, guys, John drove he was in the Detroit office today, right? But I like to say you drove 3 hours for me today.
I did, and I'm driving 3 hours back.
So thank you very much. Thank you for making the drive. I think you officially have taken the longest drive for anyone that's been on the podcast. I had somebody come up. I think they were from GR, though, Grand Rapids. So I think you're a little farther,
I'm
right?
about 35 miles further.
So you took it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, John. I guess I'll give you a plaque or something right now. But anyways,
glad to do it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I appreciate the wisdom. I think a lot of people are going to be blessed by just hearing a successful entrepreneur, someone who's built a company, worked with a ton of great clients, but a 30-man company is no joke.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of payroll. That's a lot of people counting on you. And I think what I always encourage people is to talk more, don't talk less. Learn from people that have done it before. Learn from people like you. And so I appreciate you giving wisdom.
And surround yourself with a good team too when you can.
Yeah.
It's invaluable.
Just finding those people.
Yeah.
That's another conversation is how do you find good people? Sure. But we'll get that on the next podcast. Before we keep going, thank you guys for coming to this episode of the Dylan England Show. I appreciate you guys a lot. Check out John and his company. Whether you're looking for PR help, you're looking to get a story out there, or now with some creative elements too. They can help you with all of it. All the links will be in the description. So I'll make sure all the websites linked. Check it out right now and subscribe to this show. Share it with a friend as always. John, thanks for coming on, brother.
Glad to do it.
Appreciate it. See you guys in the next one.